Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the show. The special guest tonight, I have known for about 25 years. We've worked together in asset management and GIS. He is a specialist in GIS and data analysis. He was president of GITA for about 4 years in the early 2000s. He has his own business. He is a leading strategic management consultant specializing in GIS. His company is well known to the industry as Corporate GIS. I'd like to welcome Bruce Douglas. Right, we're
Oh, yeah.
recording. We're recording. So how's things?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, good.
Things are going well.
Yeah, busy?
Yeah, it has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
The industries goes through peaks and troughs,
Yeah.
as you can expect.
Yeah.
So when it's a peak, I find I'm working quite hard. When it's not, I take a bit of a break.
Yeah, it's nice if you can do that. Yeah,
Mm.
I know what it's like. It's when it gets busy, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you have that lull because you've got to finish everything at the same time, and
yeah.
you run into problems. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
you got to get into marketing mode. Anyway, look, yeah, what the plan for today really is to what I want to do about with these things is give people some advice. The young people coming up and even managers, and about where we've come from, how you got to where you were, all those sort of things. But the other thing, talk about the industry today with the view to, well, what are the issues? Let's lay them out on the table, and then what needs to be done to fix the inherent problems they have.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, without actually having to say that, but
Yeah.
because there are a lot of problems. They spend so much time slapping each other on the back that they don't actually do the work that's needed to be done. I think that's half the battle. Anyway, let's talk about your journey, where you came from, how you got to here.
Well, I guess as journey, like a lot of other people, I have a surveying degree. And I was working as a licensed surveyor in North Queensland for a number of years before I joined the Digital Mapping Bureau in South Brisbane. And so this was back in the early days. We did a lot of work for national mapping, DCDB digitising for state governments, Queensland and some of the other state governments. And we did a lot of mapping for petroleum companies of all their exploration mapping. And so the focus was on digital mapping, and this was back before GIS became coined as the name of the industry.
Yeah.
We really just saw it as digital mapping and an extension of CAD systems, the computer-aided drafting systems.
Right.
Yeah. And then it progressed, what seemed to be a natural progression into working with organisations trying to sort out their issues and eventually forming my company and becoming a consultant.
And that's where we met.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. And along the
again.
way, I did a bit of work with Pricewaterhouse and some of the other big consulting companies where they were focused not so much on GIS, but more on business consulting. So that gave me a really good grounding in terms of understanding how the business issues impact technology.
Yeah. And then GIS.
The GIS, yeah.
The GIS, where it came from. And I think at the same time, there was a parallel activity where asset management was becoming
that's right.
The word to talk
GIS, about. Yeah, GIS went through a number of names that the industry was referred to. But and it's changed substantially over the years, particularly in the technology, of course. And most people tend to focus on the technology because people who go into GIS are usually technology type people.
Yeah.
And so they focus on what they understand, which is the technology. and it's been helped a lot by the ubiquity of Google Maps, coupled with GPS and mobile phones. And of course, you'd be old enough to remember that early phones didn't have GPS.
Yeah.
Now it's where would we be without GPS? And so that's entrenched, the combination of Google Maps and GPS has entrenched the concept of where is it in consumers' minds. So even if they're looking for a Pizza Hut or for their sewer lines or for something else, they need to know where it is. And of course, that's what GIS is all about, is the where component. And so that sort of led to the commercialization of spatial processing.
Yeah. What are some of the common misconceptions about the GIS you experience?
Sorry, some of the what? The comments about?
The common misconceptions about the
The
GIS.
misconceptions is that users expect that the GIS will provide answers to the problems, and in some cases they haven't defined the problems.
Yeah.
So there's an over expectation that because they're looking at maps or graphical information on a screen, then therefore that data is correct.
Yeah.
So there's less of a focus on things like data integrity, metadata, and so on. People look at what they see on the screen and assume that that's correct and make decisions based on that, when in some cases it may not be correct.
And so, yeah, go on.
Sorry?
Go on.
Yeah, I did a project a few years ago for a large council where they had different groups in the GIS environment, different groups in council, all doing their own GIS work. And that resulted in, and there was no correlation between the data captured between one group and the other. So you had a situation where you had a sewer pump station shown on one set of data that was totally different to the sewer pump station showing another set of data. You combine those two spatial data sets, and the two sewer pumps were 14 meters apart.
Yeah.
Now, sewer pumps, as you know, aren't 14 meters apart. And this was in a park, and it appeared in all contexts to be two totally separate sewer pumps, because the structure of the data and the naming of the data was different, because each group had their own data conventions. So we jumped in the car and went out and had a look, and of course there's only one there. The second one was just the same one collected by different processes in a different location. The problem is that decision makers, council, senior management, were making decisions based on that data and based on the fact that there was two sewer pump stations in the one park, when in fact it was totally wrong.
Yep.
So that's where there's a real need to get a focus on the data and making sure that that there's common purpose between different data collection teams, and that the data is collected with the end user in mind.
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, I find that all the time. Yeah, the same sort of thing, whether it's spatial data or whether it's just asset data. The naming conventions, especially for buildings, for some reason, the naming conventions, you're looking at it and you're saying, well, there's two buildings in the one location. Something wrong here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And even the addresses, and what address is this? I can't work it out. I'm on a map. I can see the road.
Yeah.
What address is? Where is it?
Yeah. Well, I just finished a project for a large council in Melbourne, and part of the project was to do a survey of all the other councils in Victoria and about their data requirements. And about 29, I think, councils responded to the survey, and it was distributed through the Geospatial Reference Group in Victoria. And all the responses, these 29 councils that responded, one of the questions that was asked was on metadata. And surprisingly, nobody, not one, said that they had metadata under control. Something like a quarter of the councils had just given up and said, we don't collect metadata. The data is what it is. And so they're making major business decisions based on incorrect data.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit sad, the level of understanding, I think, of the importance and significance of things like metadata.
Yeah, that's right.
Is just unknown. It's not known to the people who are trying to use the stuff.
That's right.
And,
Yeah.
they do give up. I've done a number
Yeah.
of data collection exercises, exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
When was it collected? What was the weather like at the time of collecting
Yeah.
it?
That's right.
All this sort of stuff, which you
Yeah.
need to put it into perspective. They just don't
Yeah.
seem to do. It's a bit sad from that point of view. Enjoyed this video? Press the like button and subscribe. If you'd like to see more, please click on the Patreon link below and sign up.